What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. It is Monday, September 15th, day number 70 inside the Big Brother house. Will Morgan use the power of veto? Who would she save? Will Vince nominate Lauren or Ashley? The decision has yet to be solidified. It has flipped back and forth multiple times. Where do we stand now? Let's talk about that, plus all the intel drama and more from yesterday's live feeds. But first, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Little bit of a recap for you if you guys haven't been keeping up with everything going on. Vince won HOH and he nominated Ava, Kelly, and Keanu despite heavy push to put up Lauren. Morgan went on to win the power of veto for the third straight week and has once again been pushing for Vince to put up Lauren as the ReNom. Yesterday, we talked about how they have been continuing to go over whether or not Lauren should be going up on the block. Morgan and Vince have been debating this ad nauseum over and over. Yesterday morning, when I was recording the update, they were still debating whether or not Lauren should go up. And it actually seemed, right, despite Vince being very much against it, it seemed like Morgan might have finally broken through on him. And as of yesterday morning, after they had finally gone to bed, it seemed like she was going to use the veto on Ava and Vince was going to replace her with Lauren as the ReNom. And then if everything kind of played out as it should, Kelly would get evicted if Keanu, if she lost the blockbuster. If not, Keanu would then leave as well. But we know how these people are. Let's see how that would really go. Because when Morgan ended up leaving the HOH room in the morning, she went and told Ashley that she was going to use the veto on Ava. And Ashley, didn't seem, too enthusiastic about this because, there is a chance that Vince wouldn't actually put up Lauren. And it's been a very much a fight to get Lauren to be put up on the block by Vince. So Ashley's not 100% down with this idea, but, it's okay as long as she doesn't go up. And Vince ended up talking to, the cameras just about everything going on. And he says, risky, but it could really pay off and shows that I'm willing to do anything I need to do to win this game. Even though, and he just kept going back and forth on whether or not he should actually do this or not. But he does end up going and talks to Keanu and says, like, listen, it's not solidified yet, right? Like, there's still, a lot that could happen, but it seems like it's going to be used. And Keanu asked whether or not it would be him coming off the block or Ava coming off the block. And Vince just said, I don't know yet. We'll have to see what goes on. But Lauren would be the one to go up, and that seems to be, how it's going to be. Keanu actually, had been pushing for Lauren to go on, but just like Morgan, right? It's not something that's too surprising to him. But it's going to be interesting to see here how this all kind of plays out, because one of the things he says is if Lauren's going up and the goal is to get a competitor out, best thing to be would actually be to use it on me. Like, I'm just saying, bro, like, if you can get her to use it on me, that'd be fantastic. And then, one of the big things is the selling point is, Vince comes off the block, this is great because Vince then used Lauren never touching the block as kind of a selling point and a reason to put her up in the first place. So Vince is like, hey, look, if you don't do this and you don't put her up on the block, this is kind of like a second place decision here, man, bud. Like, you didn't put her up, and then if you get to the end with her, you're going to end up beating her. Also, here's the other thing. If Lauren ended up going on the block and she ends up beating me and Kelly in the blockbuster, wouldn't that be a stronger argument for her in the end? So if you are going to put her up on the block, I think pulling me off so she's not beating me and Kelly in the blockbuster is probably the best move here. Don't you think, bud? So Keanu's really trying to be like, yeah, like Lauren should go up. And also I should come off. Like, I definitely pull me off the block. Like, I want to be off the block, bud. Vince eventually, though, went and had the conversation with Lauren. It took him a little while to get there and finally get to the point where he was actually going to tell her that she was going up on the block. But he does. And Vince told her, like, listen, you're going to stay, right? Like, they've promised me that you're not going anywhere and that, Keanu would be the one that you would even leave against or you wouldn't leave against either. Like, at the very worst, it'll be a tie, and then I would break it to him. And one of the things that she said, she was like, "All right, but like, I don't like this. And what if they're lying to you, right?" And Vince has said, "Then we won't be friends outside of this house." They're like, that's really assuring to to Lauren. Like, oh yeah, I'll be gone, and then you guys just won't be friends. Cool, cool, cool. And they could be. Lauren said like they could be actually plotting right now. Funny thing was, at this same time, Morgan and Ashley were plotting right now on the idea that Morgan should actually take down Keanu instead of Ava. And it was a whole thing. Ashley ended up even going and telling Keanu that Vince wouldn't put Lauren up if Keanu comes down. And then Ashley even at one point like tried to like get up there to go talk to Vince because she's like, hey, like Vince, like it's kind of urgent. I need to talk to you. Like, hey, I got somebody I really need to talk to you here because I don't like what I'm hearing. But he was so busy with the Morgan Lauren drama that like he didn't really get to her before everybody else. And then even at that point, it seemed like Morgan had actually kind of switched back. And she was like, actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to use the veto on Ava if I'm doing this. And then if I ended up saving Keanu, I'd regret it if he made it to the end. I can't do that. Anyway, Vince and Lauren still having the conversation. And he's talking about how, like, do you know how it would look if you went out on my HOH? Like, my game is over. She was breaking down into tears, saying, like, I can't go on the block. I can't, like, you can't do this to me. And they were just going on and on and on. Eventually, though, she does leave, and Morgan kind of comes in and replaces her. And that's kind of how Morgan's been wanting this all to go, is that she can replace Lauren in Vince's heart. But the day kind of goes on. Morgan made a very large charcuterie board for everyone. Thing is, it probably took so long that everyone starved. Morgan is now the only one left in the BB house. She now wins for how long this board took. But she was hoping that Angela would be very proud with how it came out. Eventually, though, we did get Ashley and Vince finally having that urgent meeting, and she's like, don't worry about it. Crisis averted. Crisis averted, no big issue. She's like, Morgan just wanted to use the veto on Keanu. And Vince is like, what? She's like, yeah, like, don't worry. But like, we went over all the reasons why she shouldn't, and it's fine, right? Like it's fine. And Vince is like, she kind of like told me she thought about it, but like with like just recently, like I thought we had already established it was going to be Ava who would come down. But again, it seemed like it was all locked up. Morgan was going to use the veto on Ava. Lauren would then go up as the replacement nominee. But then there was some more conversations that took place as Vince ended up meeting with Keanu to kind of tell him that Morgan wouldn't be taking him down. And Keanu says like, I don't care as long as the veto is used, right? Like it's fine. And Vince, like, you just got to promise that you're going to break a tie for me, right, bud? Like you've definitely got me if it comes down to a tie, right? And Vince is like, yeah, sure, yeah, of course. But this is also where Keanu says, like, yeah, like Ashley's actually the one who told me that if Morgan were to use the veto on me, that Lauren or wouldn't go, or if Lauren were to use if Morgan were to use the veto on me, that Lauren wouldn't go up as the nominee. And Vince is actually really mad to hear this. He's not happy that Lauren was going and telling Keanu this. And he also says that, yeah, like she also kind of told me that you probably wouldn't break a tie for me. That's kind of why I'm asking, right? So this is a whole thing that Vince gets really upset about. And Keanu ends up saying like, all right, please, don't say anything, right? Don't say anything. And the thing was, Ashley had told Keanu, don't say anything. So it's kind of interesting here how once again, telling Keanu information has bit somebody in the butt. We also ended up getting Ava, who told Lauren, like, listen, like, you're not going home if you end up going on the block. Like, Ashley hates Kelly, so like Ashley's not gonna vote to keep Kelly over you. So like you're gonna be fine here. And Lauren says, like, listen, like, I'm not just gonna sit around. Like, she is going to go do something about this. So she says, I'm gonna go talk to Vince and say something to him because this is not fair, and she's not going to just sit around and take this. And she says it's going to be a long night of her begging for her life in this game if she has to. Lauren does eventually go and meet up with Vince again, and Vince says like he doesn't know, what Morgan's really going to do, but if she does end up using the veto, like that, he feels like he's kind of put into a position where he has to do this or he pisses off half the house. And Lauren says that Ava had told her that Morgan was going to use it, so like on Ava, so that seems to be a thing. And she does just says like she doesn't want to say it would be a thing, but if he puts her up, she's done with him. Like I don't want to say this, Vince, but if you put me up, I'm done with you. And Vince is like, please don't, no, like please. It's like the worst thing that Vince ever gonna hear. Also, just realized I had the allegiance chart the whole time as we were talking. But either way, so Vince is like, "Oh, please, no, please, don't. You can't do this. No, don't say that. That's my worst fear." And Vince does say, though, he's getting a little bit of a weird feeling now that Morgan and Ashley are trying to game him and trying to lie to him a little bit here, that Lauren would actually stay this week if she ended up on the block, right? He's hearing a lot of different stuff. He just had that conversation with Keanu that made him feel a certain type of way about how Ashley's kind of spreading information. So he's getting a little bit nervous about all this. And, again, it's one of those things where, he doesn't want Lauren to go home on his HOH. And it would be like if Ashley and Morgan had taken over his HOH if Lauren goes up and were to leave this week. And Lauren just says to Vince, like, you should put Ashley up if Morgan uses it, right? Because Morgan is the one putting you in this situation. Eventually, though, it was Morgan's turn, and Lauren ended up leaving, and Morgan and Vince kind of had their chat. Vince saying that he was feeling weird and he has kind of this pit in his stomach. He just doesn't feel right about what's going on and what he's being asked to do here. And Morgan, it's just too much. It's too much. He was asking Morgan, though, about the things that Ashley was telling Keanu and how mad he is at all that and all that spilling out and how that's making them all feel weird about this whole situation. Like maybe he's getting played, and that, putting Lauren up, it makes half the house, pissed off either way. If he puts up Lauren, if he puts up Ashley, like, so please, Morgan, just don't use this veto. And they go back and forth as they do, right? Vince, asking Morgan eventually, like, are we okay? Right? Like, are we okay? Are you going to kick me to the curb now? Morgan's like, no, I'm just processing it all. Eventually she leaves and she's like, I just need to go for a walk. I just need to go, clear my head here. This is when Vince ends up going and tells Lauren, like, listen, I will not put you up on the block. I can't do you that. Like, I need to stop, letting these people push me around and tell me what to do. I need to stand up for myself. And I'm not putting you on the block. I cannot do that. And she says, thank you. I'm so proud of you. So it seems very much locked in now that no matter what, Vince will not put Lauren on the block as the ReNom. Vince then goes and asks Ava, like, hey, how upset would you be if I ask Morgan not to use the veto? Because it's just going to end up pissing off the house either way, no matter who I put up. And I don't want to put Lauren up. So, like, is this cool? And Ava's just like, well, I mean, it's between you and Morgan, right? Like, it's not really up to me. Like, whatever you guys want to do, right? Eventually Morgan gets filled in, or Morgan fills in Ashley, who is shocked. She was like, an hour ago, it was 100%. How did it change so fast? Ashley, it's day 70. Get with it. This is how fast things move sometimes in this house. Morgan is saying that she's almost at the point where she just wants to use it to force Vince's hand and get him to show his cards. And it's a whole thing where now Morgan is just so upset. Of course, Morgan went back on up to Vince to try and push for Lauren. Even still, they're still going at it on whether or not, she should use the veto and Lauren should go up and how this should all play out. Ashley's still up too. I think she's trying to wait to see how this conversation ends up to get her nose on up in there before today's veto ceremony, because it is a wild one on where this could go. And I think it really just comes down to Vince. I just don't think he will ever put Lauren on the block. I think if Morgan does end up using the veto, I think he would crumble and he would put Ashley up on the block and keep Lauren off, and then just have to deal with the consequences afterwards. But it is very much at the point now where it is back and forth, switching at every moment. I honestly don't know if we will have a final decision until the feeds come back after the ceremony and we actually know who was on the block, because this is just back and forth. And it's almost, like I said, it's just tiring watching Morgan and Vince go back and forth on this. And she breaks out the M&Ms, and then this is why this has to happen, and then this has to happen, and then Vince just goes back to, but yeah, everybody's gonna hate me, and I feel like a piece of crap, and I'm useless. It is quite the thing that we have going on at the moment. Well, what do you guys all think about everything that's going on inside the house at the moment? What should Morgan do? Should she use the power of veto on Ava, Keanu, or Kelly? Who should Vince put up as the ReNom if Morgan does use it? Should it be Ashley? Should it be Lauren? Oh, one other thing that was just kind of like an interesting little note here. Morgan and Ashley were kind of talking about how it seemed like Ava didn't want the veto used anymore, and they thought that was kind of a little bit weird. But what was interesting, while they were having that conversation, Ava and Lauren were kind of filling in how Lauren just found out she probably isn't going up, and that the veto isn't going to be used, or it could be used, but she wouldn't be going up if it is. And Ava actually was saying that, you know what, she feels like Morgan should just use it now and force Vince to put up Ashley just so he creates more enemies. So it would be interesting to see how this goes. That's probably my ultimate favorite scenario on how this plays out, is that Morgan uses the veto. I would hope maybe on somebody like Keanu, on maybe somebody like Ava would go back to the original plan. I don't think she's ever going to use it on Kelly. That seems like the main target that everybody's really trying to get out this week. So I could see Morgan using it on Keanu or Ava, and then Ashley going up on the block, because then Vince is like, well, yeah, I'm not putting Lauren up, and then just all the drama that would come from this. There's also this weird little thing that Vince has mentioned to Morgan about something he wants to tell her, but he can't tell her until October, aka when the show is over. So who knows what's going on? We'll see if they end up actually sleeping in the HOH room together again. They've been doing that for the past few nights. In fact, Vince actually mentioned something to Morgan about that, saying like, oh, now that your takeover for the HOH is over, you're not going to sleep up here. You're going to sleep down there with everybody else, right? She was like, oh, it's fine. I can sleep at the end of your bed like a dog. So we'll actually we'll see how that all plays out. But let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
My motto is, I hate myself, I make wrong decisions, I'm a piece of shit, and I deserve nothing.